So when you hear the phrase consumer power, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Is it about finding the best Black Friday deal? Or is it something deeper? Today, we're diving into two really powerful and actually radically different ideas of what it means to have power as a consumer. One is this massive fight for basic rights within the system, and the other, it's a kind of quiet rebellion against the system itself. And that really brings us to the core question for today. Where does your power as a consumer truly lie? Is it in getting organized and demanding your rights in the marketplace? Or is it in the choice to just walk away from it all? I know, they seem like complete opposites, right? But stick with me, because their shared enemy might just surprise you. All right, first up, let's talk about the side of the story that is a literal fight. This is the organized movement for consumer protection, for safety, for fairness. And we're not talking about wanting a discount here. We're talking about demanding fundamental human rights. And this is so important because it completely redefines consumerism for us. I mean, we usually think of it as just buying more stuff, right? But its original meaning is the exact opposite. It's a social movement, people fighting back against sellers, trying to level a playing field that often feels, totally tilted against the buyer. In this fight, it's most raw, most visible, where the stakes are the highest. This isn't about a frustratingly late package or a phone that breaks a month after the warranty expires. For tons of consumers in developing nations, a marketplace without rules can literally be a matter of life and death. Let's make this real with an example from our source material, Kenya. The challenges people face there are just stark. We're talking unsafe food, medicine that doesn't work, and fraud everywhere. And even when people try to organize, like with the Unga protests over the insane cost of basic flour, the movements often just fizzle out. And a big reason why is that consumers are often disorganized and just don't have the information they need. It's a really tough uphill battle. And get this number really shows just how hard it is. A key study looked into this and found that the things you'd think would be huge drivers, like how aware people are or how unhappy they are, well, that stuff only explained 17.6% of what was going on in the consumerism movement. So the point is, even when the problems are staring you right in the face, building real, effective consumer power is incredibly complex. Okay, so now let's just flip the script completely. We're gonna pivot to a totally different vision of consumer power. This one isn't born from scarcity and fighting for basic quality. Nope, it's born from abundance and the problems that come with having way too much. And it's called voluntary simplicity. It's not about being forced to consume less because you can't afford things. It's a conscious, deliberate choice to just step off that treadmill of constantly wanting more. The goal here isn't a better deal. It's a better life, one that's more focused on things like sustainability and personal well-being. So you see the massive difference here, right? While that first movement is fighting for access to safe, reliable stuff, this one is a reaction to an overwhelming excess of stuff. It's a movement that's really taken hold in more affluent societies, where the market gives you endless choice, but not necessarily a sense of fulfillment. But why? Why do people make this choice to just stop buying so much? Well, as it turns out, the reasons are pretty diverse. So let's break down the main drivers behind this whole anti-consumption mindset. The research really boils it down to three big reasons. First, people do it for the planet. They see overconsumption as a real threat to the environment and decide to consume less as a way to adapt. Second, they do it for themselves. It's a search for personal meaning, a way to kind of declutter your life and your mind. And third, it's a protest, a political act that challenges the entire system of consumer capitalism. And this isn't just some fringe idea anymore. These concepts are hitting the mainstream, especially now, as we're all grappling with huge global challenges like climate change and rethinking what's important after the pandemic. The idea of degrowth is even part of the conversation now. I like this table. It helps make sense of it all. So, mainstream is when you're on board with both the goals and the methods of consumer capitalism. But the other boxes show how people deviate. If you reject the goal of endless consumption, but you're still working within the system, that's asceticism or simplicity. If you want a good life, but you're looking for alternative ways to get there, that's downshifting. And if you reject both the goal and the system, well, that's just outright rebellion. It's about creating something totally new. Okay, so we've got these two very different ways of expressing consumer power. One is banging on the door, demanding to be let in. The other is quietly choosing to walk out. But could they possibly be fighting for the same thing? Let's just put them side by side.
Their goals seem opposite, right? Fairness versus reduction. Their contacts are often different, developing versus developed nations. And their methods are totally distinct, a group effort versus a personal choice. But look at that last line. Underneath all those differences, they have a shared enemy, unchecked market power. It's a system that, in one place, gives people unsafe products, and in another, pushes an endless, unsatisfying cycle of consumption. So here it is, the big takeaway. They are not opposites at all. They are two sides of the very same coin. Both are real, grassroots responses from people who feel that the global marketplace as it exists today is broken. It's just failing them in very different ways.
So in the end, it really just comes down to strategy. The consumer rights movement wants to fix the system from the inside, make the market fair, make it safe, make it listen. The voluntary simplicity movement, on the other hand, is busy looking for and building a completely different path outside of that system altogether. So what we see are two totally valid ways to exercise your power. It just depends on your situation and what you're fighting for. And that leaves us with a pretty big question to think about in our own lives. In the world we shop in every single day, where does our true power actually lie? Is it in demanding a better system, or is it in building a new one?